Hey, I'm Linda Shively, and I'm so excited to be here today with a guest of mine who, well, let me just go back. If you are a woman executive who is in a position that is not serving you and it's not working, you're not quite sure how to get out of it, how to change to really do what you love, Howard Sample is the person you want to listen to today. He is the life fulfillment catalyst. He and his team guide you to clarify your purpose and unique genius so you can craft your ideal business and make money doing what you love. Now, doesn't that sound amazing? Howard is also an award-winning author of Craft Your Genius Life and a master astrologer. No matter your challenges, if you have the desire to create a new life and are ready to make a commitment, Howard and his team will be able to work with you. So welcome, Howard.
Thank you so much, Linda. It's a pleasure to be with you. I'm excited.
Well, to get started, I was looking at your website and I'm curious. You have an amazing hobby about fountain pens. So would you tell us a little bit about that before we go?
Absolutely, I'd love to. I mean, I could speak for hours about fountain pens. When I was a teenage boy riding on the subway in New York City, I noticed these Wall Street executives would take out these fancy fountain pens and would write, and I was like just instantly mesmerized by them. But in those days, there was no internet and there was no easy way to get a fountain pen. Anyway, over the years, it's always been a fascination. And then several years ago, I actually began my serious hobby of collecting both vintage and modern fountain pens and all these special inks and papers. And the fun part is that I actually have old-fashioned pen pals that I write to, and they write back to me. And it's absolute magic when you write with a fountain pen with real ink on amazing paper. It's just a unique experience that's quite rare today. So anybody watching this, that I would love to share my article in LinkedIn, which is entitled, "Want to Change Your Life? Get a Fountain Pen." And you can find that article on my profile, Howard Sample. Just do a search on my name. Go to my profile. You see all the many articles I have there. And then you'll see the article in fountain pen with this big nib, this big gold nib image on there, and you can read it. So, and I welcome comments and I welcome people to reach out to me for that.
That seems so much more satisfying than ding and getting a
Yeah,
text,
yeah,
getting an
exactly.
actual letter in the mail.
Oh yeah, and it's so fun to receive handwritten letters, and there's something about it that evokes such a heartfelt, sincere expression of beingness and feeling from people, you know?
Well, and the other thing is you enjoy classical music,
I
and
do.
tell us a little bit about how that connects to.
Well, when I was growing up, my dad, who never played an instrument at all, but he knew a lot of classical music tunes. And so at the dinner table every night, he would hum a tune and he would quiz me to see if I could guess what it was. It was pretty annoying at the time, but I learned a hell of a lot of music. And then in college, when I was a math major, I took all the music courses with all the music, with the music majors, except for theory, composition, and performance, and then went to the record shop to buy records with whatever pocket change I had. Then came home and did the reverse back with him, hummed the tunes, and see if he could guess.
Well, that sounds like a lot of fun to have that connection with your father and to really be able to
Yeah,
to, to
yeah, it was.
learn in a deeper way. And so with your background in mathematics and studying classical music, so how did you get into the work that you're doing now?
Well, it was a progression of steps, as of course as most things are in life. I did not pass my PhD oral exam in mathematics, and it set me on a new path. I decided I didn't want to take the exam again, so it set me on this whole new path, which led me to study astrology and metaphysics and Jungian psychology, and that opened door after door after door. And then it occurred to me that really an ultimate centerpiece of people's lives was doing something they truly loved, that made a difference in the world. Was their soul path. They're using their genius. They could make a difference, and they could still be greatly successful at it. And back in the day, wow, that was like beyond even a pipe dream. but over the years, the systems and tools and methods continue to come together. I was amazingly guided every step of the way, and it was fascinating because astrology was like a track, and there was these other tracks, and they all ran parallel to each other, but also blended and intermingled together. So just completely remarkable.
Well, that's fascinating because they do seem to interplay, wind together. But tell us a little bit about what life crafting is and who does that serve? Who's the right person to make
Well, life crafting is a very comprehensive program designed for high level professionals, men and women, but predominantly women, who tend to resonate really strongly with it. They're at a crossroads point in their life. So they realize that for whatever reasons that they made the decisions to pursue a career, but for whatever reason, it's just no longer a fit. And that people evolve in life, their values change, their beliefs change,
Mhm.
their attitudes change. But then their corporate jobs may just simply not evolve in that same manner. So eventually it gets to a point of a gigantic mismatch. And they're now faced with this dilemma. Oh my God, I have this high income. I've got the mortgage. I've got the kids going to college. I've got all whatever is going on in my life. How the hell am I going to create a life for myself that really is authentic and real and true to who I am? And that where I can do what I love, I can follow my gifts, and I can make the contribution in the world that I truly want to make and that I can make, and still have a decent income doing it. And it's like, wow, I mean, that's huge. I mean, it's huge. And how do you transition? That's a very difficult and complex thing. So
right?
life crafting is a comprehensive system. And you could well imagine from a mathematician's standpoint, anything I do is going to be like, complete, right? It's going to be comprehensive, complete,
Yeah,
lacking no part, not a single nook and cranny to it, missing or whatever.
right.
And so I studied endlessly over the years with different teachers, with different mentors. It was like just the next, next, next. And every time I learned something, I blended it in. It was like a work of art, always a work in progress, always developing it, and then seeing what is working and making adjustments, of course, along the way. So that's
So,
really the simple, the
and
simple
and
version.
so as you do that, describe someone who is an ideal candidate for this program and what a typical outcome might be for them.
Well, I would say somebody who, let's say, who's in the corporate world, I'll give an example, could be in a tech career, like a software engineer, maybe, or something like that.
Mhm.
And one woman I've been working with is an Indian woman who grew up with very strong technology background. But over the years, she gradually discovered her humanity and her spiritual life and her deeper personal things, which were never addressed and satisfied in the formal corporate engineering environment. So
Mhm.
she didn't know what to do. So now life crafting has allowed her to, first of all, discover what her true passion and gifts are, what her purpose is, eliminate all confusion about it, uncertainty. I mean, I even have a video of her just sharing about this profound level of clarity that she's achieved in just one module within our program. Now she's on the threshold of creating a business where she works with a particular population of people with a specific problem and pattern, health related problem that she's been passionate about for years, but had no idea that she could actually pursue that and do that as a business, right? So perfect, good example there.
Great. And I know because you're working with high level executives that they're committed individuals, but what is something, what demonstrates that commitment to you to know that
Well,
it's
I
somebody
mean,
that you want to work with?
the reality of it is, Linda, is that when somebody achieves a certain level of success, and you know, the way I say it is, you know, success is kind of in their DNA. It's part of their makeup. It's part of
Uh-huh.
who they are. It's part of the standards that they live by and their belief structure, you know, and their ideals. And so what I do is I help them translate that or transfer that to an entrepreneurial setting in
Okay.
which they can succeed there as well as they could before. Of course, that takes some significant changes in their mindset, of course. But if they have that already, it's really doable. You can't manufacture it if it isn't there. But if
Right.
it is there, then you can transition it.
So to be clear, is this primarily for people who want to be doing something as an entrepreneur or?
It is. It is
Okay.
primarily people who are recognizing that to have the freedom of expression, the unique expression of themselves, and the impact in the world and the income they want, the truth is really the entrepreneurial path is really the only way that they're gonna have
Mhm.
that. I mean, sure, there could be examples of companies where they could get a job, but to have all those elements all together in one place, you know, just very unlikely.
And earlier we were talking before we turned the recording on that there's a core principle that is really important that flows throughout, and something about, you know, we've all heard this about the chain is only as strong as the weakest link, but how does that apply to what you're talking about?
Well, it applies in a number of ways, Linda. Most people live their lives doing the best they can and being oblivious to all the various things that where the links are broken or weak or keep changing, and they just don't have the insight to recognize what those things are. And I know in your work with sabotage, you see that people put up with it and they try to make the best of it, but they don't know how to quite get to the core
Mhm.
of the pattern and change it. So uh, I've
Until they start working with me, and then they can.
exactly. So in my work, I have something called the Ultimate Empowerment System, which addresses it's a system. It's a holistically oriented transformational system, if that makes any sense. In which,
uh, say it in other words for, you know.
it's a system that addresses the major patterns and breakdowns that we typically have in our everyday lives. I'll give an example here, okay?
Mhm.
We all need structure because if we don't have some structure, which is a direction, purpose, and goals, we're not going to do very well. Human beings don't do well without structure.
Mhm.
The second is feedback. People, if you don't have feedback in your life, you will drive your car off the edge of the cliff because feedback is the only thing that allows you to make adjustments in life. It's the loop. The third is accountability. You need to be able to make and keep promises to yourself and others because if you don't, you won't trust yourself and no one will trust you and you
Mhm.
will have no relationships at all. so accountability is directly linked to relationships, which are at the heart of everything. The
Mhm.
fourth is coaching. You need coaching because we all have blind spots. No matter how smart you are, I mean, Tony Robbins needs a coach. Everybody needs a coach and to be able to revise your strategy. And the fifth and last, perhaps most important thing is recognizing limiting beliefs and being able to transform them at the subconscious level, which is the only place they can be really shifted. Otherwise, it's just a pep talk. Now, each one of these five things I've shared with you has consequences if it's not present. You can actually see exactly what breakdowns are going to occur in your life if those things are not present. And conversely, when you do have them, what are going to be the benefits? And so that's what we give people. I mean, I give that to people right away at the beginning for free, just give you the whole system. And oh, and the funnest part of all this that I didn't mention to you is I turned this whole thing into a game.
That sounds fun. Tell
Yeah,
me more.
I turned the whole ultimate empowerment system into a game.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and if you set up an appointment to speak to me, I'll share with you what the game is and how you can play.
Well, so Howard, tell us how can people get in touch with you and find out about this game that they can play and change their life in the process?
Okay, well, let me give you two things. First of all, howards360.com is a very, very good site for getting information. Okay, that when you go there, especially if you do go there with your phone, you're going to see a 1-minute video of me, which mentions the fountain pens and the classical music. And so that's all really good. However, if you're in the place where you're watching this and you are really serious and say, wow, I am this person who's an executive or a senior manager or professional, and I am at a crossroads, and I do really want to finally live my life for real authentically, then I would like to invite you to fill out an application for my life fulfillment consultation. And the website is lifecraftingprogram.com/life dash fulfillment dash application. Let me say that one again. So lifecraftingprogram.com/life dash fulfillment dash application.
And we'll
And
make
go
sure we
on.
put the
Yeah,
links in the
we'll make
comments.
sure we'll make sure we put the links in the comments so people can. Oh, and by the way, my email address is howard@lifecraftingprogram.com. So if you have any questions about anything, you can always reach me there. And I know I didn't mention anything here in our interview about astrology, but
You did a little
oh,
bit.
I mentioned, yeah, back at the beginning, but I didn't quite say much about how astrology is another secret sauce that blends in with all the rest. So, but get in touch with me and I'll explain that.
That sounds wonderful. Well, Howard, it's been so much fun talking with you today, and I look forward to staying connected. And hopefully, if you're in that category of people that is looking for, figuring out what is next for you, give Howard a call, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Thank you so much, Linda. It was great.